August 24th, 2012. From the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in Warwick, Rhode Island, this is NewsUndies. For August 24th, 2012, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Oklahoma high school valedictorian Caitlin Nootbaar has been denied her diploma over saying hell in her graduation address. Yep, Bible Belt. Recently dead, Phyllis Diller and Tony Scott. I'll bet that pair makes for some interesting waiting room conversation. You know, assuming there's a heaven. Rosie O'Donnell heart attack. Yeah, didn't see that coming when she was a VJ on VH1. Todd Aiken can really multitask. With one statement, he demonstrated a complete ignorance of biology, alienated everyone with a vagina, with the possible exception of Ann Coulter for obvious reasons, and derailed the entire GOP. Well done, sir. Apple is now the world's most valuable publicly traded company. Still not number one in market share. By a lot. How does that work exactly? Lisa Whelchel, Blair on Facts of Life, to be a contestant on upcoming iteration of Survivor. Because that's the boost Survivor needs. While they're at it, they should have Dan Quayle on, too. Nothing draws an audience like Dan Quayle. Thankfully, somebody shot a video of Tony Scott falling to his death. Really, Tony Scott belonged behind the camera. CNN reports tropical storm threatens Republican National Convention. Why, yes, let's have our convention in Florida in the middle of hurricane season. What could go wrong? Prince Harry naked in Vegas. So what? Is he not permitted to take off his clothes? Is he not permitted to play pool? Is he not permitted to combine those two things? Coming up after the break, evil jellyfish, cosmology and politics, and Tesla!
Soot. You've been hearing a lot of not-so-nice things about soot. Mostly from tree-hugging, dirt-worshipping pansy liberals and people who think breathing is important. They will talk the ears off your head, droning on and on about wind and solar and renewable energy. What they don't tell you is that soot built America. Our modern post-industrial society owes everything to soot. If it wasn't for coal-fired power and diesel-powered transportation, America would grind to a halt. That's a fact. And as long as we have anything to say about it, and as long as there's profit to be made in government subsidies on soot, we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way. We're America's soot industry. Profitable, ugly, traditional, American.
Diana Nyad. Todd Aiken, Republican representative from Missouri, recently remarked that legitimate rape rarely results in pregnancy because a woman's body has a way of shutting those things down. Loon. The fallout from that remark has been spectacular, with all but the most vacuous politicians backing away from Aiken as though he just took a giant radioactive dump in the punch bowl just as the party was coming to life. Republican presidential hopeful Willard Mitt Romney swiftly flew into action to distance himself from Aiken and his outstandingly insensitive idiocy. Is the universe large enough for Mitt Romney to get sufficiently far from Todd Aiken's stink that he'd still stand a chance of being elected? I put that question to Professor of Physics, Foundation Professor of the School of Earth and Space Exploration, Director of the Origins Project at Arizona State University, and author of the books The Physics of Star Trek and A Universe from Nothing, Dr. Lawrence Krauss. Dr. Krauss replied, If the universe is flat, it could be infinite in spatial extent, and even better, if you move far enough away, then because the expansion is accelerating, you will eventually be carried away faster than the speed of light and disappear. That's the good news. Unfortunately, it would take far longer than one election cycle to get that far away. Mitt Romney moving away faster than the speed of light? That's a comforting thought. With any luck, he'll happen by the planet Kolob, home of the Mormon god Elohim, although I wouldn't bet me last shilling on it. Mitt Romney announced his energy plan, which would make North America energy independent by 2020. That's North America, including Canada and Mexico. By what means? Well, by fossil fuel production, of course. Is that a smart plan? Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
Of course it is. Oil is cheap and burns easily. Coal is clean and safe to mine. Fracking poses no threat to the environment. And besides, Jesus is returning to Earth any day now, so caring for the environment is a waste of time. Amen. Woo! Mitt Romney's proposed energy policy is foolish, dangerous, transparently crooked, and devoid of any merit. What Romney offers is more profits to companies already swimming in profits, and no path out of the energy dead end, that is, fossil fuels. Romney's energy plan also talks about creating jobs, but does not mention that many of these jobs will be in a famously punishing field and subject to a historically well-documented boom-bust dynamic prone to elimination as reserves peter out. There is no long-term future in fossil fuels, and Romney's plan does nothing to encourage development of any replacement sources of energy. It merely permits existing corporate behemoths and their shareholders to profit at the expense of our future.
That's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. Matthew Inman, the artist behind the webcomic The Oatmeal, is on a quest to, as he puts it, build a goddamn Tesla museum. Inman launched an Indiegogo project to raise money to fund the purchase of an industrial property in New York, which is, by most accounts, the site of eccentric inventor Nikola Tesla's last official laboratory. At the time of this show's taping, Inman's Indiegogo project has raised just over $1 million, more than enough to qualify for the $850,000 in matching grant money the state of New York has offered the nonprofit Tesla Science Center at Wardenclyffe to buy the property and build a museum. If you would like to find out more, go to theoatmeal.com. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, Darling Nikki, GSN circles the drain, and now she gets it.
It can be hard to think rationally when a loved one passes away. This can be especially true in the event of untimely death or when religious or cultural traditions demand quick interment of remains. Blue and Flatley Funeral Homes are here to ensure your needs are served in the most efficient and profitable way possible. At Blue and Flatley Funeral Homes, your money is very important to us, and we want to make sure we do everything you can afford to put your mind at ease. Blue and Flatley, profiting from the misery of others since 1883.
Nicki Minaj. And now here's Ryan Hanley with another Jeff Goldblum fact.
You know Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum's first film was Death Wish, where he played freak number 1. That's right, all you freaks. He's number 1. He's the king of the freaks. Bow down to your king, you little perverts. Back to you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Fascinating.
And now, here's Moose Weintraub with the Sports Half Minute.
Weintraub Sports Half Minute. It's a whole half minute of sports. 30 seconds of sports. Who's the Weintraub Sports Half Minute?
This is your Sports Half Minute. I'm Moose Weintraub. Lance Armstrong has decided to stop fighting doping charges, but he is not admitting having doped. That should clear everything up nicely.
Weintraub Sports Half Minute.
Thanks, Moose. Always a great report from Moose. Life imitates art imitating life. Former funny man Jeff Foxworthy, famous for his "you might be a redneck" jokes, has taken it to a whole new level. First, he answered the question, who's smarter than a fifth grader, with a resounding, not Americans. Now Foxworthy takes on the put-on piety of Americans as he hosts the American Bible Challenge. I can't help but wonder if they're going to have any atheist teams on there. I mean, if it is just a question of knowing Bible trivia, I'm pretty sure you could put Matt Dillahunty on there alone. First episode of Season 1, and he'd still be cleaning clocks halfway through Season 666. Most surprisingly to me is that this show is not on CBN or EWTN or some other wacko network. This is premiering on GSN, the Game Show Network, a network jointly owned by DirecTV and Sony. Okay, the Game Show Network is not exactly a bastion of intellectualism, but seriously? Talk about pandering. I mean, what's more trivial than Bible trivia? And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? After bearing an entire co-ed football team worth of children, including benchwarmers, Octomom Nadya Suleiman finally has an orgasm. And of all the situations she could have had this experience, on the set of a porno. I needed to know this because why? And now that she's had this empowering experience, what's next for the high-minded paragon of virtue and purity? Earning a living to support her 14 children? I'm guessing it will be more orgasms. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsUndies. If you see news that shouldn't be news, you can submit your story tips online at newsundies.com. NewsUndies is normally a bi-weekly show, but we'll be taking a little break, and we'll be back on September 21st with fresh undies. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be trying to use dark energy to propel me away from Todd Aiken.